It was late October, the kind of autumn night when the cold air carries a damp edge, and every street lamp halo looks like it's trying to fight back the fog. The neighborhood was quiet, too quiet. A freight train rumbled in the distance, its metallic echo fading into the night. Somewhere, a dog barked once, then fell silent. This was a small working-class suburb on the outskirts of town, the sort of place where neighbors know each other by name and strangers are noticed immediately. People here didn't expect anything extraordinary to happen. And yet, on this night, something would happen. Something that would haunt this community for years. October 26th, 2016, Thursday, 10:02 p.m. 30-year-old Andrew Sullivan stepped off the number 12 bus at the corner of Pine and Maple. He carried a white plastic grocery bag with a loaf of bread, a bottle of soda, and a frozen dinner. His mother would later say that she expected him home within 10 minutes. Andrew was a creature of habit. He always took the same route, through a small park, past a chain-link fence, then down Maple Street to the front entrance of his apartment building. He'd lived there his whole life. This was his street. He knew every crack in the sidewalk, every house with a barking dog, every porch light that stayed on too late. But that night, something felt different. Two neighbors would later recall seeing him. One, a retired mechanic named George Taylor, had been walking his beagle near the park. He was walking quick, George told police. Headphones in, head down, didn't even notice me. Seemed like he wanted to get home fast. The second witness, a woman named Karen Lewis, had been unloading groceries from her car. She saw Andrew pass under the flickering street light near her driveway. "He gave me a little nod," she said. That's just the kind of guy he was. Friendly, but he didn't slow down. Looked like he had somewhere to be. Neither witness noticed the man in the dark hoodie who appeared on the street less than a minute later, walking the same direction, keeping his distance, but always in Andrew's line of travel. The last known footage of Andrew alive came from the security camera of a 24-hour convenience store at the corner. At 10:14 p.m., he walked past it, grocery bag in one hand, the other in his jacket pocket. 43 seconds later, the hooded figure came into frame, head turned slightly away from the camera. The grainy video couldn't capture the face. The next camera down the block had been broken for months. Andrew never came home. By the next morning, his phone was going straight to voicemail. His mother, Linda, called his workplace. They said he hadn't shown up. At 9:12 a.m., she dialed 911. The official missing persons report was filed before noon. Police started with a search of his usual route. They checked the park, the alleys, the overgrown lot near the old gas station. Nothing. 2 days later, a volunteer combing the area found Andrew's cell phone in the bushes near a children's playground. The screen was cracked, the battery cover missing, and the SIM card was gone. Nearby, hidden under a pile of wet leaves, lay his black nylon jacket, neatly folded. The pockets were empty. Forensics went over the jacket. There was a tear in the left sleeve, and embedded in the fabric were tiny specks of soil not found anywhere in the playground area. Even stranger, all fingerprints, his or anyone else's, had been wiped clean. Whoever took his life had taken the time to erase their presence. Then came the rope. It was just a short piece, frayed at both ends, stained with blood. DNA confirmed it belonged to Andrew. Detectives now suspected he had been restrained, possibly assaulted, before being taken from the area. The question was, by whom? When police dug deeper, they learned something new. Just a week before his disappearance, Andrew had sold his old Ford F-150 pickup for $4,200 in cash. He mentioned it only to close friends. He kept the cash at home, planning to open a new bank account the following week. This raised a chilling possibility. Someone close to him might have known about the money and decided to take it. Attention soon fell on Jason Porter, a 34-year-old who lived in the same apartment complex. Jason had a record: petty theft, public intoxication, a few assault charges that never stuck. He was unemployed, often hanging around the complex during the day, and more than one neighbor had seen him watching others a little too closely. On the night Andrew vanished, several residents reported seeing Jason near the garages behind the building. When police questioned him, they noticed dark stains on the sleeve of his hoodie. Jason claimed it was paint from a renovation job. He said he'd been out with friends that night. But when asked who, he couldn't name them. Police couldn't arrest him without solid evidence. But they kept watching. The search went on for weeks. Abandoned
Volunteers
houses,
scoured
even
vacant
storm
lots.
drains. Flyers went up on telephone poles, in shop windows, online. Local news aired Andrew's story twice. Tips came in, but they led nowhere. Until November 18th. A search team entered an abandoned garage in the industrial district. The kind of place where the wind whistles through broken windows and old oil stains mark the concrete floor. Inside was a smell no one could mistake: the heavy metallic scent of dried blood. In the far corner, under a collapsed shelf, lay the body of Andrew Sullivan. His wrists and ankles were bound with rope. His face was swollen, marked with cuts and bruises. The medical examiner later confirmed he had died the night he disappeared, from a single devastating blow to the head with a blunt metal object. The rope matched the fragment found near the playground. On the floor nearby was an empty bottle of cheap whiskey, several cigarette butts, and a rusted metal pipe with dried blood. DNA tests would reveal multiple profiles, among them Jason Porter's. But there was a problem. Too many people had access to that abandoned garage over the years. Jason's DNA alone wasn't enough for an arrest, and just like that, the trail began to fade. Detectives tried everything. They re-interviewed witnesses, pulled phone records, even checked security footage from gas stations miles away. But the hooded figure from that grainy video was never identified. Linda Sullivan kept pushing. She called the detective's desk almost every week. She sent letters to the district attorney's office, pleading for the case to be reopened. She still believes, that people in the neighborhood know who killed her son. But no one will speak. Whether out of fear, loyalty, or something darker, the silence remains. Some neighbors have their own theories. A few claim Andrew got into a heated argument with someone in the courtyard just days before he vanished. Others whisper about late-night visitors to the garages. None of it has ever been proven, and so the case remains open. Officially, it's an unsolved homicide. Unofficially, it's the story that shadows Maple Street every time the sun goes down. Some nights, Linda says, she swears she sees that hooded figure in her dreams, always at a distance, always walking just behind her son. The killer walks free. Maybe he still lives nearby. Maybe he passes by the same corners, the same streetlights, the same cracked sidewalks Andrew once did. And maybe, just maybe, he passes by people who could point to him, but won't. This is the story of how an ordinary night can become your last, how darkness can wait just around the corner, and how sometimes the truth is buried so deep it may never be found, and perhaps, right now, someone is watching you from the shadows.